Welcome to Brave Healer Productions. It's time to experience what's possible. So, what if there's something you haven't learned yet that could change everything? Welcome, everyone. I'm Laura DeFranco, the CEO of Brave Healer Productions Publishing, where we are helping the world experience what's possible. And here today to help me with that mission are some of the amazing authors of one of our newest books. This one is called Joy Unleashed, The Ultimate Guide to Living Your Best Life. And I have a huge shout out to our lead author, Shari Alyse. Shari, we wouldn't be here without you. You had a big vision and mission for Joy and for this book, and you've gathered around you a stellar group of expert co-authors who are just going to knock your socks off today, you guys. Just hearing from them is going to be such a treat. I can't wait. But Shari, thank you. I'm so grateful and so honored to be working on this project with you and being a part of your mission in the world. So I have some pretty cool people in my Zoom room right now. Angel Gold is here. She's known as the Boundary Queen and best-selling author who empowers humans to reclaim their joy, sovereignty, and soul truth. Deanna Cotton is here. She inspires others to laugh out loud even through life's darkest days. She's the author of Embracing the End, honored with Amazon's Therapist Approved badge. And Jeannie Davidson is here. She's an award-winning author and creator of the Lumen Method, Radiant Discipline, where clarity becomes consistent action, a practical framework for turning inner wisdom into outer results. I can't wait to talk about joy. Like, who wouldn't want to talk about joy, right? Deanna, you're going to start the party off. Tell us a little bit of the why behind the chapter that you wrote.
I'm Deanna. I wrote chapter 13 in the book Joy Unleashed, and I am honored to be surrounded by so many amazing people. These co-authors are incredible, and I've read through a lot of the chapters. I'm so inspired. There's so much still for me to learn. What I do know and was able to share in my chapter is that we will all face a dark day, and trauma shapes all of us, and we all have a path towards healing if we're willing to take it. But a dark day will come for all of us. There's a pocket full of sunshine if you're willing to find it during those dark days. But the one thing I don't recommend is waiting for your life to turn upside down to find that pocket full of sunshine. There are habits and things that you need to cultivate in your life right now, and don't wait for that dark day to come.
So, what's one of the first things you put into place when you were trying to instill better habits?
It started with just the practices of like gratitude and thankfulness. And a lot of that is just who I was naturally and who my personality, who I have always been, I guess, in my personality. But when I had children and started having marital problems and different things through life started to shape me, I found I had to work more consistently on creating those habits because it's really hard to keep digging into those spaces when you're facing really traumatic things like you can't pay the bills, you have a sick child, you just got a terminal illness. Those kinds of things are much more difficult to overcome. So, mental health therapy, hands down. I know there's a stigma around it. A lot of us don't want to admit that we may have some things that, and there's a stigma around it, right? It's like, oh, you're crazy. You have mental health problems. We all do. We all do. And mental health therapy was the one thing that really helped me face some of those traumatic events from earlier on in life. And I found they were burdens to my success. They were burdens to me meeting my life goals and dreams. And ultimately, I could not have walked into a terminal illness without the therapy that I had done behind me.
Yeah, I'm so glad you talked about that. I think that the stigma is slowly disappearing
Mm,
as I see the
it is.
awareness of mental health everywhere.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I want to kind of rewind to, you started with, well, gratitude, and it's kind of a positive person already, and we
Yeah.
do get fed that gratitude thing right away. We'll go to gratitude, but sometimes you have to sort of up level the habits, right?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. It should become a daily, yeah, it almost needs to become a daily practice, even when life is good. And I think we all have a tendency to skip those parts of our lives when things are good. Uh, and I think over the years, just kind of going from like one traumatic event to another and having these good spurts in between helped me to understand that things are really good right now. And that kind of became a trigger for me. Things are really good right now. That means something bad is getting ready to happen. And that's what I found out when I started mental health therapy, that I was almost triggered by the good times. The good times scared me because I knew something bad is getting ready to happen and I didn't want to face that. So thankfully, I had created this practice for myself through my morning and evening routines to practice gratitude, find things that made me, happy, that helped me find joy. And they don't have to be expensive things. Sometimes just sitting down and having a cup of coffee and reading a 5-minute devotional can really set you up for success each day. And then, just going to bed each night and saying, what am I thankful for today? I mean, my glass is either half empty, half full, or overflowing. And there are times it wasn't overflowing, but I still wanted to see it as half full. So it doesn't matter what's happening in my life today, how difficult today is, I can be thankful for something. There's always something if we're willing to find it. We just have to dig
Yes.
deep sometimes. Sometimes we got to reach all the way down in that pocket.
Deanna, thank you for saying yes to this project, for being here today to share with everyone.
Thank you.
Angel, I'm going to pop over to you next. Tell us a little bit of the why behind your chapter.
Well, in my experience in life, especially in relationship, I found myself always giving my power away and allowing the story to be led by somebody else. And in this specific experience that I share, um, there was in the trauma space, like Deanna was talking about, we do go through these things, and understanding what it does to your brain and how vulnerable you are in that moment and how easy it is to be manipulated when you're in that space. And so I chose to write this story the way I wrote it because it was a part of me gaining back my power and understanding and really deeply owning my story, that this was my truth. That dream really did happen. All the steps, like there was so much gaslighting in my experience, writing it out and having it documented, because for any human that has experienced trauma on the level of gaslighting on top, there is that your reality is manipulated and shifted. And so for me, I needed to write it. I needed to sit in it and feel it deeply for everything that it was and scrape out what my bone truth was. Because that's how we heal, is owning our truth, owning our power, owning our story, and not letting that manipulation come in to sidetrack you. And so my why, this was my healing process, was writing it out and owning what my story actually was.
You're making me think of something. If we can understand that there's some brain science when somebody is going through something, okay? And we, as friends or inner circle or family, or really anyone close to the person, if we're recognizing that that person is going through something like that, it would be really, really cool to understand that there's some brain science happening that could open that person up to manipulation. Meaning, you know, there was a moment where I had wished some of my friends would have swooped in a little bit and either warned me, educated me, said, "Hey." And of course, everything is on purpose for me, no matter what experience I went through. And I believe in all of that. But I'm kind of just wanting to have that discussion now to help other people who might have the moment. And, if you're a friend who can come in and I don't know, sometimes we need those advocates in a moment where we are super vulnerable. Anything else you want to say about that?
Yeah, actually, one of the things I really learned from my trauma therapist, because I absolutely agree with Deanna, sometimes you need that space to walk through that, and with people that have the education. If you don't know, I didn't understand the deep nuances of trauma bonding. I didn't understand that going through that level of trauma is actually a brain injury. I didn't know that. And I've been doing this work for a long time, and spending 6 sessions with somebody on the other side of this, I also learned that it takes 18 months to 3 years for your brain to heal. So when your partner comes back to you after 2 months and says, "Oh, you're not healed, I want a divorce."
Yeah. Yeah. Angel, thank you for being brave enough to write about it and also to talk about it today. Thanks
Yeah.
for saying yes to this project.
May it heal many.
Jeannie, let's move to you. Tell us a little bit of your why.
Thank you, Laura. So, my why of chapter 20, which is about unconditional love in this really amazing project, involves questions that spark peace, harmony, and joy. And it has to do with relationships. Quality of relationships dictate the quality of our lives. And one struggle that I faced was with my oldest daughter had encountered mental illness. Here we're talking about mental illness, and thank goodness it's becoming more. The awareness is much more prevalent. At the time, however, I was not very keen on how to deal with that, but I felt inspiration to when we talked about joy. I thought, gosh, what gives me joy? And there's so many things I talk about in my coaching practice, but this was not one of them. And for some reason, you asked me, and I just had this spark of inspiration to talk about this. And it's now that I see the collective piece that's come together through this book, it makes perfect sense to me. And it actually created some really great discussions with my daughter. That we've already had so much healing related to this, but I know that people have relationship problems in especially in family. It affects everything. And so to me, it was really important to talk about the things we don't always talk about. And it had to do with my ego as a parent. And I wanted to offer some tools that help me through that, because I know everyone has some flavor of something they're dealing with that has to do with relationship issues, especially with beloved family members.
Yeah, for sure. I was just listening to you thinking about, relationship problems, and okay, every problem we might have in a relationship is also such a juicy opportunity for something, fill in the blank, healing, empowerment, unconditional love, having an amazing life, right? What do you want people to know about that?
Well, I want to give permission to people to know that no matter what has happened, maybe you're judging yourself for things that didn't work out. Maybe you're still judging the person that is creating this feeling. No matter what has happened, there is always hope, because I felt that everything was just done, gone, ruined, and it affected every relationship that mattered to me. But there is always hope, and it just involves a little shift and an openness to be honest with yourself, and also to look at things from another perspective, because perspective changes everything. So it's much simpler than you think. And when you do it, it can heal you, it can heal the ones that are affected, and really it can affect everyone. You're a lot more powerful than you think you are, no matter what has happened.
Yes. We'll put an exclamation point on the end of that sentence. Jeannie, thank you for
Thank
saying
you.
yes as well. And thanks for being here to share. And I have some gratitude to all of you, all three of you. Put your beautiful, vulnerable stories in this book. Let me give you a little sneak peek of the cover while I'm showering you with gratitude. You did that, and the stories are healing in and of themselves, but then the spark section comes up in these chapters, y'all, and these experts are sharing their master teachings with you. They are going to help you with a practical nugget. Joy Unleashed. Look at that beautiful sunshiny cover. Shout out to Dino Marino, who helped us design this beautiful cover. I love to shout out our designers and these collaborations. So yeah, you all did that so brilliantly. Thank you so much for that. Angel, I have a feeling I know how all three of you are going to answer this. So I might have to tweak the way that I say it, but can we find joy no matter what? And if that's a yes, which all of you have talked a little bit about already, then what's the baby step of that when we're just in the shit?
Mhm.
Coming inward and really honoring your inner child, really honoring what your needs are in that moment, knowing that your needs change all the time. So that presence, being present with yourself and really caretaking yourself and not abandoning yourself and owning what you need. You're allowed to ask for your needs to be met, and that empowers you to also not give your power away. You know, when you're clear in your head, you can be clear with your wants and needs inside and out.
I love that. I love how you kick this one off. All right, Jeannie, I'm coming over to you. I know it's a yes from all three of you, but give us the baby step of that. Like, what's first?
I 100% agree with what Angel said. And the reason is because when things are happening around you that you cannot control, you feel out of control and overwhelmed, it is you lose your own space. And when you lose your own space, you lose perspective on everything. And so the baby steps, well, I'll give you an example. Today I mentioned, you asked me, how was your weekend? And I have a 14-year-old son. He's wonderful. We have a wonderful relationship, but lately it's been a little challenged. And I actually went to the book. I went walking this morning and I thought of him, lessons I was sharing with him. And I actually thought, you know what, Jeannie, that applies to you as well. And so, but it wasn't until I went for that walk, I gave myself 30 minutes of uninterrupted time to let in whatever was going to come. And I feel so much better. I knew we had this podcast today, and I just, if life goes on, you've still got to show up. And that's how I showed up. But it does involve that ability to come back to you, take any time you need, take your time, take your time.
Yeah, I love that. That would be one of my tactics would be the walk.
Yeah.
Get my butt outside, breathe some fresh
Yeah.
air, get some sunshine on my face, and just get some space. I love that.
Yes.
All right,
Absolutely.
Deanna, how about you? So what do you want to add? I know I can see everyone nodding for everyone today, but I know you've got some things to add to this. Can we find joy no matter what? How do you do it?
Absolutely. And we could probably sit here and have conversations all day with both of these lovely ladies, because I could be like, yes, I'm in this season of life, Angel, right now. Like, I'm there. While I reflected on these good times in my life causing a trigger for me, because that meant something bad was getting ready to happen, it also gave me hope and promised me that things were going to be okay. So that's the other side of that I learned through mental health therapy, that things are always going to be okay again. So taking advantage of, whether it doesn't matter what's going on in our lives. I mean, from the darkest things of finding out that you're dying to you just couldn't pay a bill today, or got a bounce check fee or something crazy like that. All those things make for a really bad day, right? But I can choose to go make a memory, and I can choose to find that beauty in those little things, whether it's just taking my children to the park today or going for a drive up the mountain, little things like that, to just remember there is hope in tomorrow, that things are going to be okay again. And I'm glad that I was able, while I was triggered by these good times, to find out that it was actually a hope and a promise in my life. And I think if we can look at today and go, this may be the worst thing that's ever happened to me today, but it's going to be okay. There is hope in tomorrow.
Good message.
Mm.
I love listening to you all about all of these topics. And yes, we could be here for 3 or 4 more hours talking about these things. That's what makes this book so juicy. And also just the reason I love to collaborate is to have all of your unique voices. And this book is just amazing. Like, that's such an incredible gift of the unique stories and the spark. So the spark, you guys, typically, if you've been hanging around Brave Healer Land any amount, you'll know it's usually like the tool or the strategy or the practice. And Shari's like, no, I want the spark. And I love that so much. So in this spark section, we're going to give you a practical tool. We're going to have you experience, these beautiful experts and the way that they're doing life. They've been around a minute and they've been in practices that have served them in so many different ways. So, Jeannie, what's the most important thing you want to leave people with in terms of that unconditional love?
To check back with yourself whenever you're reflecting on a person and how they're affecting you. It always comes back to you in some fashion. And so if you are letting your ego dictate how this relationship is going and what circumstances are unfolding, come back to you. And as far as unconditional love goes, it is this concept. It feels very ethereal, like it's out there, but it's actually within us. We have been raised, most everybody I know, I can say almost everybody I know, or maybe everybody I know, has been raised in a way that feels very conditional. And it feels like there's strings attached to everything that you do and how worthwhile you are. And in relationships, we can reflect that out inadvertently. And it's important to maintain those boundaries, but also unconditional love is so much, it's innate. It's innate and it's accessible to yourself and to the people that you love.
I love that you helped us with that being an internal process, a process we can look within to get to the fastest, really. Yeah, that's big. Thank you for that.
You too. Thank you.
Deanna, what's the most important thing you want to leave us with in terms of finding that sunshine on the darkest days?
Don't miss out on today. There is beauty in today, regardless of those dark clouds that have rolled in. And we can say to ourselves, there's not enough time or money or, hours in the day to make memories with the people that we love. But get yourself healed to a point where you can see the beauty in today and start making memories so you don't get to the end of your life and have those regrets and feel like you missed something that you can't go back and redo. So choose to see the beauty in today, make those memories, capture those memories. They don't even have to cost a thing. And don't let some of those crazy things stand in the way, like time, money, hours in the day, because it's all there. It's all there. If you book the thing, if you take the time out, if you put it in the calendar, you won't miss out on those memories. But I do know firsthand what it feels like to hear that my time will be cut short. And I'm so thankful for all the memories that I did create with my family and my loved ones. And so I don't have those regrets today. I do still have a lot that I want to learn, but I'm not holding on to a bunch of regrets going, I wish I didn't let those things hold me back.
Yeah, that's badass. Thank you. All right, Angel, coming over to you with this one. What's that most important thing you want us to know about boundary setting? This is such a big topic.
Your connection within is the most important. So that self-love, self-respect, inner devotion, if you can create from that space, that is how you lead a life of joy. I believe that connection to source, God, spirit, whatever you want to call it. If you're connected, then it's quite easy to come up with your yeses and your nos, what you will put up with, what you won't put up with when you have that connection. And it is deep within yourself. Then it's easy to come up with boundaries. And then the next part is the spiritual muscles of implementing and consistency. So, we don't want to give our power away. That's not why we're here. So we're here to learn to not do that. So that deep connection within, and that's how I channeled the boundary queen, that my spark. So it's interesting because my chapter starts with a dream, a channel, and then my spark was created out of that trauma to channel my medicine. And that's what we want to do. We want to transmute our pain into power.
Yes, we do. Another exclamation point on the end of that one. To all three of you, oh my goodness, thank you so much. Angel Gold, Deanna Cotton, Jeannie Davidson, thank you for what you do in the world and for being here today to share it with everyone. Thanks for being in this book. You guys, this is a way more than a book. This is a generous community of experts who are waiting to answer a question or carry on these amazing conversations that we started today. Come on down into the show notes. I have everyone hooked up with their websites, their links. They want to connect with you and they're there to answer those questions and carry on the conversation. Maybe you need a little support right now, right? That's what this community is all about. We hope that you hop over to Amazon and grab your copy of Joy Unleashed. I have the link below for that. And lastly, today, everyone, remember your words will change the world when you're brave enough to share them. So it is time to be brave. See you next time, everyone.
Bye.